you for clicking on my channel. My name is Jordan Berwin. I'm currently a senior at Marist College, and for my capping project, I am making this video on how to make a temperature blanket. My experience with crochet, honestly, has been minimal. I have made one Woobles kit. It was a penguin, the most basic one. I named him Pierre, and now currently he has one eye and his wing is barely holding on. So needless to say, I'm very new to crochet. So when it came to hearing about a temperature blanket and wanted to start one and get into crochet that way, I found it very difficult because I want to get into it, but videos ranges from like 20 minutes long to like 2 minutes long, and not enough information that I needed in one video. I would need to go to their channel and click on another video and everything like that. So I decided to, from starting my current temperature blanket, I'm about 3 or 4 months in right now, and I decided to make this video on all the information I found helpful for starting one, and all the tricks and techniques and mistakes I've made and the corrections I've made. And I'm just gonna put them all in one video so it's easy if you guys want to go into the comments and you can just read through what I say. There will be timestamps as well, so you guys can just skip through all my mumbo jumbo and just click on what you came here to listen to, and you don't need to listen to me rant about every single little thing for however long this video is gonna be. So let's get right into it, and I'll start telling you a little bit about a temperature blanket. A temperature blanket is essentially going to be a year-long project, and it's really fun, it's really simple, and it's a great way to, I feel like, get more into crochet personally, since this is only the second project I've done. So a temperature blanket is, you can do the highest temperatures or the lowest temperatures. I decided on the highest because, you know, global warming, let's see it in a blanket style. So essentially there's the weather for every day, right? And so every day there's a high temperature and a low temperature for that day. You can then mark down like the temperature for that day, and you're going to crochet it essentially. So here is my blanket and what it's looking like so far. Oh, sorry, she's I'm halfway done with it. I actually ran out of yarn and I'm waiting for it to come in, so I'm halfway done with this row. But essentially, yes, she's kind of long. I mean, this is like what it looks like about like 3 months in about. So this is what it looks like now. Of course, at the bottom, I'll go over the mistakes I made and how I got it to look this great up at the top, and I'll go over all that after. But yeah, this is essentially, as you can see, there's a different row for each day, and each row is a different color based on that high temperature of the day. And I'm gonna put in, you know, like pictures probably here and here of finished products. And essentially at the end of the year, you're gonna have a blanket with exactly 365 rows, and each row is going to be for that temperature of the day. So it's really cute, it's really fun. You never really know what you're going to end up with, which is really interesting. Like, yeah, so let's get into making one. The first step to get into making this blanket is going to be the materials needed. So let's start with a pair of scissors, a crochet hook. This is obviously the Woobles hook from my penguin I made. The size is 4.0 millimeters, just a nice little hook. You can get any hook you want, and I'll go into that later in the video. And then your temperature range chart, which I'll get into as well, and your yarn. And these colors can range, pick out whatever colors you want, and this is just one of them. I went with the Bernat blanket by Yarnspirations. It's kind of like a fuzzy, softy one. Some people do like more like a string material. this is what I love about the blanket. It's so just like a freestyle. Whatever kind of yarn you want to use that's good for crocheting, like the thickness, the material, whatever kind of hook size, it's all personal preference, which I think is so fun. So yeah, if you're interested, I did go with the softer one because I want mine to be more of like a soft, fuzzy kind of blanket, but any blanket is gonna come out phenomenal. Getting into the temperature, how this is gonna work is essentially every source that you use can be a couple degrees off from each other because they all have their own, I don't know, in the science world, I'm an English major, in the science world, I'm assuming each source for weather uses their own kind of science way to find out the degrees, which is why they're all probably off. I don't know. Maybe I'm sounding like an idiot. Maybe that made sense. Let's go with it. Anyways, I personally like to just use my weather app. I have an Apple, so I just go on the weather app and I just, right at the top it says the high for the day and the low. So that's what I do for a daily basis. And, there are going to be days, this is a year-long process. Who knows what's going to be going on every single day for the next year? Let's be real. So what I kind of found best is to have a second source because, as you know, on the Apple weather app, I can't see the weather from yesterday. I can only see the weather from the present day and forward. So what I found best was to find a website and to make sure that website shows like the past days highs and lows. And yes, those ranges you will notice are going to be off from the past days you've had. So you can kind of either just write down what that app says. Maybe if you notice that, like I noticed the source that I use I'm at Marist College, so I'm using an app for Poughkeepsie, New York. So I've noticed that one is typically about 2 degrees higher, 2 to 3 than the Apple one. So I'll typically, just to keep it in range, just reduce it 2 degrees, or sometimes I'll just like keep it as is. Go with the flow. It doesn't matter. It's simple. It's easy. It's nothing to get anxious about. I promise. So yeah, just your daily weather app and then an app you can use if you forget a day or two and you can go back and see those past days' temperatures. Before we get into the temperature range chart and making that, one more thing when it comes to the weather, what I've noticed to be really helpful is sometimes, you get behind, you can't dedicate every single day to crocheting a day. So I use Google Sheets and I'll put a little picture here of what I do. And so essentially I just do the date, the temperature that was the high for that day. Again, you can write down the low if that's what you want to do. You write down the temperature next to that associated date and just all the way down. I personally like to do a different row for each month. So instead of going down just the first 2 rows, just January, February, March, and so on, all the way down on the Google Sheet. And once I'm done with a day and I've crocheted that line, I highlight the date. Just like whatever color you want to do, I like just for fun, I change the color that I highlight each month. That's just something silly I do. But yeah, you can just highlight the date that you crocheted so you know where you left off. And I would really recommend that because as a busy college student myself, I'm sure once I get out into the real world and have an actual job, I do have a job on the side, but that's a whole other story. So once I have like a full-time job, I'm sure I'm going to be even busier and I might not get to crochet every day, maybe just on the weekends. So I would really recommend writing down the dates, the colors associated, and highlighting the dates that you did so you know where you left off. Okay, moving on, getting into our temperature range chart and how to make it. So mine, like some people go all out and print out a sheet and put it on a clipboard and laminate it and do this and that. I took a piece of paper and I taped it. Yeah. And I just wrote it. So this is the cheap way. Again, college student over here, keep that in mind. So I just do my little label at the top, temperature chart, and I personally just found one online. typically it's not just like a 10 to 20, 20 to 30, like by 10s, by 5s. It's not like that. Like it's kind of like weird, funky numbers. I realize is how you get the best colors is what I've noticed from all the multiple videos I had to watch. So from this one, we start from 15 to 30, 31 to 44, 45 to 58, 59 to 72, 73 to 86, and 87 to 100. So when doing this and creating your ranges, you're gonna wanna look up into some research of the typical temperature ranges in your area. So like I noticed that in Poughkeepsie, the ranges never really go below 15 degrees. So I didn't want to make an entire range dedicated to a color that I most likely will never use. So of course, and then like it doesn't really go past 100 in Poughkeepsie, I looked up. So you know, you want to look at your typical ranges in your area. Of course, it's going to be different based on California than in New York or Connecticut. So you really want to look up your typical temperature ranges for your city slash state. So that way then you can make sure you get to use all the pretty colors you choose and your ranges all get to go in your blanket. Okay, moving on. As you can see, I've attached each color associated to a line and a range. When it comes to colors, any color you want, I decided to go on more of like a pastel vibe. Some people like to do bright, some people like to try to just do the rainbow. Do whatever you want. It's freestyle. I mean, who cares? Do what makes you happy. Do any colors you want. However many colors you want. So, yeah. Those are the colors I chose. And again, all burnap, blanket, regular thickness. Except this one. This one I picked out like the wrong size, but it's fine. I'm gonna go with it because I'm too broke to have to get a whole new one. An aspect to be aware of when creating your temperature range chart, I did not do it, and this was a mistake I made, so please just learn from me, please. So in the videos they're like, yeah, so then like write down the color name like associated with the range. I was like, why do I need to write down the color pink next to the yarn that it's like taped there already, and like that's so stupid, blah blah blah. Little did I know that each yarn, like this isn't the color blue, the exact name is like country blue. So when I needed to re-up on a yarn, is actually this one in particular, it's called Lichen. I needed to re-up on it, and I didn't know the color of this. I just figured it was like green, and I figured I can bring this in and just color match it. No, I ended up buying the wrong color. I couldn't find the right color. I didn't know the name of it. All that. It was such an issue. Where you can find the names of your colors are either on your receipt from purchasing the yarn, or I'll put a picture here, and this is where like by the barcode on the label of the yarn you purchase, the name is typically going to be right over there. So yeah, I would really recommend writing the exact name that the yarn is called on the line, so when you need to purchase, you can either just go online and order it online and type in the name or the item number, and it's just so much easier. Because also, fun fact, Lichen apparently like is not being sold at Joann Fabrics or Michaels anymore. So I started a temperature blanket and that color is nowhere to be found anymore, which is great. But it's fine. I found a similar color and now I'm just doing that. So, oh, and the new color is smoky green. See, I'm like remembering the new colors. But so yeah, that's a mistake I made that I would 100% be aware of. It's just going to make your life 10 times easier, and with, you know, upgrading into buying new yarns, restocking, all of that. Because I will say, doing a temperature blanket, it's not only a time commitment, but a financial commitment. You know, there's coupons and stuff. So typically a ball of yarn is going to range from $8 to like $11, $8 to $12, around that range. So when you're buying, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those times 11, that's like $66. And at least for this color, I'm already needing to purchase this ball of yarn for my third time. So it is a financial commitment. It is, a time commitment. And I'm a college student. Yes, I have a part-time job. And I'm still able to, every like 2 to 3 months, buy that one ball of yarn that I need that's like $8. Like I said, the white one, I'm waiting for it to come in. I dropped $8 this month on some yarn. Do I need to restock on any others? No, you just saw the pink one I held up. I didn't even get to use her yet. So, one at a time, you might need to restock. So keep that in mind. That is a really good point to just keep in the back of your head when starting a temperature blanket. Now, getting into the size of your blanket that you would prefer. A lot of videos that I've noticed didn't really say this too much, so that's where I come in. The hook size matters. I know we always joke size doesn't matter. Here, size matters. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. So yes, size matters. The smaller the hook size, the more chains in a row you're going to have to do to get the width that you prefer. So I was watching a video, this person was using a much larger hook size than I have, and they prefer to do like 60 chains. So if you have a bigger hook size, about 60 to 80 chains is like great. But for me with the smaller hook size, my 60 chains came out to like here. And I want my blanket to be much bigger than that. So with my 4mm hook, I'm doing about like 150 chains per row. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, like the smaller the hook size, the more chains, the bigger the hook size, the less chains. And again, based on that, it's really just what you prefer. So if you want to make this temperature blanket for like a baby, maybe you don't need that many chains. If you want it for like a queen size bed, you're going to want more chains. Whatever chain size you want, hold it up from one side up to the other. If it looks like how you want the rest of your blanket to look, great, go with it. But so yeah, like I said, it's all freestyle. So if you want it wider, do more chains. Just do what you vibe with, see how big you want it, how wide, and just go with it. Just go with it. Okay, now getting into how to start our crocheting, our first chain. Before that, I do want to note that with these balls of yarn, as you can see, they kind of get a little messy, tangled up. But the best way to sometimes find the ending is to just stick your fingers like in the middle and you'll just find it sometimes. Sometimes I just have to undo the whole ball sometimes and just like find it around the edges. But yes, this one was right in the middle, which was perfect. So again, your tail end, I have this on my right side. I'm going to flip it around my finger, cross over the line attached to the ball of yarn. From there, I'm going to now take the string that's still attached to the ball of yarn, not the ending. Put that around my finger now as well. I'm going to take this back loop, put it over, and pull through. Okay. Now from there, we can put our hook through, tighten it up a little bit, and you can do that through pulling and pushing on the edge that's attached to the ball of yarn still. Don't do it too much. And then from there, how I like to set up my crochet hand is I like to come around the thumb, up, and over. So I have something to hold it. I can do that one more time. Here's my yarn connected to my ball. I'm going to come in between, around, over my pointer, and there we go. So now we are going to, the first one is always kind of weird. So now you're going to do this action called yarning over. You're going to take your hook and go under the string that's over the finger. So under, you want to get that hook, and see how I'm turning it? I'm turning the hook down. So the hook is not up, the hook is facing down. And then, as I'm holding on to this loop right here, I'm going to pull it through. And now that is our first crochet chain. Let's do it again. Yarn over. See that? I'll do it one more time. So I'm going to come under. I'm coming under, up, and turning down, and bringing it through. Oops. Sometimes if it gets a little stuck, that's okay. Honestly, not every time is perfect. There we go. She got through. I hope you guys got to see that. Because honestly, that's the whole thing with crocheting. Sometimes it's not always going to come through so easy, and don't freak out about it. It's okay. So, I really wish I got my nails done. It's fine. So, that's now chain number 2. Come through. And you can really just get on a nice little groove with it, you know, and be counting your chains, especially for this first row. You want to be counting your chains so you kind of know how long it is, and like you'll just watch it grow. And as you can see, I'm just doing the same motion over and over. I can move my fingers up closer to this if I need. And here, pull through. And then, yeah, I just get to keep going. And so now at this point, just bring your chains to as the width that you would want your blanket at. There's multiple ways to set up your yarn hand. The first way I showed is definitely an easy way for when you start crocheting this first row right here. Once you get going and it gets longer, I really like to have my hand like this, so come around the thumb as before. This time I'm going to come behind the finger, so not over, but I'm going to come from behind. Now I can hold with my thumb and middle finger, and this first line right here, the one that's coming diagonal across, I can just come here, yarn over, pull through, and just keep going. As you can see, I'll adjust every little bit with my fingers so I can get closer up on that part. You know, I just keep going. And yeah, that's another way for your yarn hand. From here, I have my yarn hand, and say this is the width I preferred, right? So essentially I worked from right to left. That's how it should be worked. And your blanket will start forming on the right side. And now I want to create a second row. This is the width I prefer, as if I'm making a blanket for a mouse. It's fine, just for the purpose of this video. So instead of now just crocheting this way, left to right, and then back and forth and everything, that when I did that originally, my blanket came out in a circular kind of fashion. Like I'll show it after, but I started essentially making like a large oval for a blanket, and I really wanted my blanket to be a rectangle. So what you should do is, from here, your blanket is on your right side. You're going to use the motion of, like I say, flipping the page to a book. I'm going to take this and flip it. Okay, I'll do it one more time. So here's the yarn to my ball. Here's my blanket, my first row. I'm going to take, oops, I'll do it on this hand. I'm going to take my blanket and flip it like the page to a book. Okay, and we don't want our yarn, see how it kind of got caught? I'm just going to bring it to the back. Okay, so my work is flipped. Now to start my second row, let's get our yarn hand. Put your hook through that first chain. You'll start to be able to see your chains. Here's that first last one. There's a little hole, right? You can see the holes in between each chain, kind of. I'm going to push my hook through that first chain. Okay, so now I have 2 on my hook. Let me get a closer grip. Now I can pull my yarn through one of them. I now have two still on my hook. I pulled it through that first one. I'm going to yarn over again and pull through both of them now. And I have one chain on my hook. Let's move down to the second hole. The second chain, pull through that first one, and now pulling through both. Let's do it again. I'm just moving down the row to the next one through the middle. All right. I'm gonna pull through that hole. As you can see, I still have two on my hook now. And I'm going to pull yarn over and pull it through both of those. Like, genuinely, it's not always as simple as every video shows it to be. And like I said before, once you have a full-size blanket and you're not working from like this little thing to hold on to in your fingers, it's so much easier. Let me actually, oh, and to save your work, say I want to pause, I'm gonna pull this up. Now I just have a big loop and it won't go anywhere, and I can save my work where I am. I'm actually gonna pause and show you guys how much easier it is once you have a bigger full-sized blanket, just to ease and calm the nerves. Okay, so this is where I left off on my work, right? I only have a little bit left. I still need to buy more yarn, but let's see. So here's my saved part. I'm gonna put my hook through, tighten it down onto the hook, get my yarn hand prepared. Now I can go in, under, yarn over, pull through both of them. Go down. See, once you have like a full-size blanket, like this isn't moving a lot, this isn't going anywhere, it's not like a flimsy little string that you're trying to control. It's a thick blanket and it just sits in your lap and it's easy to just kind of like handle, you know? So now here and pull through, and I'm going to save my work because I have almost no yarn left, and I'm just gonna pull through, and there you go. So please, I hope this makes everyone feels more calm, and as you can see, you can more clearly see each chain. See the lines, see the lines in between each one. Those are all different chains, and that is what your hook is going through. Your hook is going through each and every one, as so, to get you like this. Okay, so yes, the little flimsy single chain is definitely harder to work with in the beginning, and once you get going, it's going to be so much simpler. You know, you're going to have a gist, you're going to get into a groove, and the blanket's not going to be this little thing you're trying to hold on to with your fingers. It's just going to sit right in your lap, and it's a lot nicer, and it keeps you warm as you go. Okay, so while I have my blanket up here, I'll show you how I actually started off my blanket with a circular pattern because I did mess up. So you can see how it's curled up, it's more rounded. You can see there's holes, right, because it's circular, so it's having holes around it. Okay, yeah, you can kind of tell. You can definitely see how, and it's genuinely just smaller. So as you can see, to fix this, once I got to the white, I started working my way up as usual. Otherwise, the white you would see would start going around the edges, but I fixed it once I got to the white. So as you can see, I was already about like 7 rows through, and I didn't want to have to undo every single row, like for like 100 something chains for 7 rows. I didn't want to have to undo that. So I just corrected my work. I flipped it like a book as I showed before, and I started chaining that way. And that is how I got it to start looking like this. But then I realized, because it was circular, instead of this part coming straight out, it now is curving up as a circle. So I now needed to make my blanket wider to get to my ideal width. So as you can see, you do see a little breakout where you see how much wider it gets. And again, if you don't like it, how it looks like this, that's completely okay. You know, it's the first temperature blanket. It's not supposed to be perfect. I think it kind of gives it character. It shows my progress. It shows how I've gotten better with crochet. So as you can see, I start working my way up, and then this is when I start kind of doing increased stitches. So now this is where I'm going to get into showing how to do an increased stitch and what that looks like. And this is how then it extends your blanket, can make it wider. And again, as you can see how my stitches got tighter and neater and more uniformed, as opposed to down here where it's looser. Okay, so I start working my way up. You know, it's a first progress blanket, and that's okay if we mess up. And this is how we can correct it with a couple increased stitches, and I'm going to show us how now. So back to working with the smaller one, okay? My new one that I'm showing you guys. I am going to put my hook through, pull and tighten from my saved work. All right, so just as we were doing before, we're going to put it into our next chain. Oops, right through the middle. Okay, get our yarn hand, pull it through that first one, yarn over, pull it through that, pull it through the second one. You guys can really see what I mean now by, like, I was zooming through on that blanket, and now I get to here, and it's like a little harder because it's just not a lot to hold on to. So now in that, instead of now moving to the next chain, you're going to go right back into that same hole that you just went into. Okay, so let's see. You can see where it kind of went into. I'm just going to follow that into the same hole. Okay, so now I'm in the same hole that I did my last chain in, and you're just going to do that again. Pull through, yarn over, pull through. Try it again. Yarn over, pull through both. There we go. So we just did an increased stitch. You go into the same hole that you did last time, and now if you want, you can just do another regular chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Okay, and then so now this is where you can decide. I like to almost like break it up, where I will have, you know, maybe about 3 single stitches and then 1 increased stitch. So, and you can kind of see the increased stitch, like, right? So here's that second loop trying to make room for itself, and it'll start, you won't really able to see it once we get that third row on top of it, because it'll just like, you're then gonna just stitch into it as any normal chain. But I actually am going to do, and I'm gonna do this either way, any video that I personally learned from, like for increased stitches and starting a blanket, any information that I got my first information of how to make a blanket, I'm gonna put the direct links to all those YouTubers in the comment section of this video, so that way then it's easy to see other YouTubers who are more experienced. Again, this is just little tips and tricks that I found along the way of my first time crocheting a blanket. This is only the second blanket technically that I'm kind of starting right here. So yes, I forgot how much I did not like starting it. But again, once you get into it and it's a bigger blanket, as I showed before, it's way easier. It's so much nicer, and it's less like holding with your fingers kind of. So yes, just bear with the progress, you know, go through it. I promise it's so fun and it's so simple once you get a couple rows up. Okay, so now because we're all about mistakes and learning here on this video, I'm going to show you guys, as well as personal preference, so I'm going to show you guys how to do a decrease stitch. You know, say you did way too many increased stitches, you don't like it, or for whatever reason, you know, you just want your blanket to not be as wide. So we're going to get our yarn hand set. We have one loop on the hook right now. We're going to put through the next chain, okay, yarn over, pull through, and now we have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to find the next chain actually. Oops. Find the next chain, okay, put it through the middle. So now we have about 4 chains on our hook, okay? Yarn over, pull through. We now have 3 chains on our hook. Sometimes if you want to pull it up, yarn over and pull through all 3. And this is your regular decrease stitch, okay? So now we actually just did a decrease stitch, and there you go. So same with the increase. You can do not a bunch of decreases in a row, but maybe 3 regular stitches and then 1 decrease stitch. Another aspect to a blanket is how tight and how loose your stitches are. Right now it's pretty tight, you know, you don't really see too many holes and cracks or whatever through it. It's very tight, very thick, okay? But say if you want it kind of looser, maybe some holes in it, like through in each chain. I can also show my blanket because my holes were very loose in the beginning and I liked the look better of having it tighter. So if I did, as I've been crocheting this whole time, it's been tight. If I want to make it looser, I'm going to start by pulling this loop up, maybe not that much. So just pulling it up, you know, as you can see, I have some space right here, right? There's some space. It's not super tight on the hook. So now for my next chain, as usual, go through the middle, yarn over, pull through. Make sure I keep pulling up. So now even that chain is kind of loose, okay? I'm going to pull through. And now continue to work it up so it continues to stay loose, okay? Oops. There we go. I didn't get through the second chain. All right. Now that I got through the second chain, you can really pull it up, make it looser. You know, put through the middle. I honestly don't mind. I didn't think it was too bad working with looser chains in the beginning. I think almost made it easier, and then like working my tightness. Sorry, I just had to pull more. Yeah, sorry. So if you're like running out of yarn, don't be afraid to just like pull it out, okay, and give yourself some more. So, you know, I have 2 here, pulling through and pulling up to loosen it. So already you can see this is from the increased stitch. But you can kind of see how it comes up here. It's already kind of looser and you can't feel it, but like this is very tight and very thick. This is like very kind of loose. Okay, very loose. It's not as thick and tight. And it's all personal preference of what you prefer. And once you start doing it and you can feel it and see it on your own, then you can make your decision. I showed it a little bit before of the looseness, but I do just want to show you on my own blanket so you can kind of see. I can like definitely poke my finger kind of like through there. You know, you can see my finger, right? It's very loose. There's lots of wiggle room throughout it. You know, I can get my whole finger through there, you know. So it's very loose here on the bottom. That's how I started it. And as I got going, I ended up making it a lot more tighter. So here, there's no way my finger is getting through there at all. This is very tight, very thick in a way. There's nothing getting through here, right? So this is how I kind of liked it in the end. But again, if you want it kind of a looser style, see, you can definitely even just see how it's like looser. You can't like wiggle these here. This one I can like wiggle, right? So there's loose versus tight, and again, just personal preference. Okay, so now as you can see, I finished this row. It's a little wonky, of course, because I did increased stitches, decreased stitches, and looser chains all in a single row. So it looks a little wonky, but just for the purpose of the video. And again, these parts, this can just be tucked in. This is from the slip knot. This can just be tucked into the rows once you're towards the end, and this can be cut off. Anyways, I saved my work, finished this row. So I want to do a color change now, right? Obviously, these first 2 days were the same temperature. So now it's time to change a color for the next temperature. So my work is saved. I have a pretty decent amount pulled up, and I'm going to leave a good amount on the end, and I'm going to cut it. Okay? Now that I have cut this, what I can do is going to put my hook through, tighten it. Okay, I'm going to, because it's here technically, right? And I'm going to flip my work. Okay, so now this is the part where we're going to change the colors. Okay, so what we're going to do is put our hook through that first, put that hook through that first chain there, as we've been doing, to get into the next row. From there, we're gonna keep the line of our old string just laid across on top. Leave it laid across. This is the new way that I found to do it that I actually really like. The old way I was doing it left thicker edges on my blanket. So if you want those thicker edges, I will show you how to do it after this. For now though, I'm going to do the way that I found best, okay, and to look most neat and honestly tighter. It does give a tighter blanket. So this new color here, I'm going to loop, just a simple loop. Okay, here's the end and loop. I'm going to put it on that hook, and that's what I'm going to be pulling through. Okay, so now we see these two colors on here. I'm going to get my yarn hand with my new color. I'm going to pull through, and there you go. And now I'm going to go to the second one. Okay, I'm going to yarn over and pull through. All right, and again, I'm working with this old yarn through it, so it's going to get tucked under these new chains, so you won't even see it, and it just effortlessly gets tucked away. Okay, so as you see, we're just going to keep going, go through, yarn over, pull through. So for this second way, as we've been doing, you're going to push your hook through that first one right after we've turned our work. We're going to actually get this new color, create a loop, just like fold it over so it's just kind of looped on there. Fold over the original color, so that's on the hook as well. We're now going to pull all of those strings through that first hole. Now we're going to take, we have about like 3 strings here, right? The end of the green, the new yarn that we're working with, and the end of the pink. And we're going to take all 3 of those. I'm going to take all of these and pull them all hopefully through there. Woo! I just hit my tripod. Pull them all through, okay? And you can already see this end of the green is already kind of getting there. See how you see like the color switch? You see the pink in there. It's not just solid green, right? So that's how it's going to come out if you do it that way, which I don't really recommend. And I will show you what it looks like, the difference based on my blanket that I'm currently working on. So here you can see I used to do that other version, you know, you see it thicker, you see the things coming out. You can tell that there was a color change. It's not as a solid change there, right? Okay, here I'm still doing it. It's a lot thicker as well. And you just see the change. It doesn't look as like, it's not bad. You know, it's not a bad way to do it. It's definitely a certain way. You can have thicker edges for sure, which could be a nice concept. I personally, though, I moved to doing it this way where you don't really see the changes in my colors at all. It's just very nice and it has a flow. There's no like these frilly pieces. There's no weird thicknesses on some rows. It's just a nice flat color change, all the same thickness. Okay, so you can see the difference from when I was doing it. Over here, it doesn't look as like smooth compared to here when I was doing the new way. Okay, so 2 ways to do it. Again, it's personal preference. I think the first way that I showed is a lot easier. It comes out a lot cleaner looking. Now pretend I am done with this blanket and I want to finish. So I'm going to actually do my last stitch here. Put it through, loop it, and there we go. Okay, from there now what we are going to do is I'm going to cut off, okay, and now as if I would, I'm going to take it on my hook, pull it through, okay, and you're actually just gonna pull it through all the way and pull it down, tighten it, and you are done. Okay, and so what now you can do is you can either cut it, all right, or you can take it and kind of just like sew it in between these. There we go, pull it through, and it seamlessly comes in. You can't tell, you can't see it. That way then, and you just go all the way down until this edge is gone. And you just have a nice little blanket. All right, there you go. Okay, I hope this was helpful. And again, like, I'm sorry for making mistakes and stumbling on the way. It's just honestly part of the process. When it comes down to crocheting and any project, anything in honestly life, let's be real. We're not going to do it seamlessly. We're not going to do it perfectly. And it's how it goes. It's the process that we get to our finished product. And we have to be proud of how we got there. That's like, for example, why I'll pull up my blanket. I did not start over and remake every time I realized I did something wrong. Every time I realized a different way I want to change a color. Every time I had to do an increased stitch, right? I just kept it because it's so beautiful to be able to see, you know, I'll stand up, all the progress that was made, right? Like, look at the difference, you know, like you can see the clear difference between here and here. And it's just a matter of being proud of how you get there, you know. And yes, in this video, I made mistakes. I struggled. That's okay. You know, if you're new at crochet, I am too. That's why we're here. We're working through this together. And you know what? This was only my second time trying to start off a blanket. I'm proud of myself at the end of the day. I made this video trying to show how crocheting isn't always as easy, but it's really fun once you can get into it, and once the blanket gets bigger and you obviously have something to hold on to and it's not moving all around on you. But yeah, you know, like, be proud of yourself, be proud of your work, you know. And like, I'm proud of this. Are you kidding me? This is coming out so beautiful now. I'm so excited. I can't wait to have my own little blanket. But yeah, you know, work through your mistakes, push through, make corrections. I hope that my video was able to show you the corrections needed for any mistakes, because as you guys can tell, I make a lot of mistakes along the way, and that is a-okay. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Enjoy hopefully starting your blankets and crocheting and getting through. I hope this had all the needed information to get you started, and good luck, and hopefully this was really helpful. Okay, thank you.